I don't know, like certain people obviously it's going to benefit them a lot, shit like Ozempic and all that crazy shit. But like if you're in someone like this person's situation, you're young, you have every opportunity to like lose the weight, but your excuse is like, fuck, I'm always thinking about food and like temptation and shit like that. Let me go use a drug that's going to make me not think about food and going to give me a shortcut. Like,
But then your body's gonna get so used to it, and when you don't have it,
but you're also not building up any willpower for anything either. Like, how are you gonna actually be good at like maintaining whatever you build based off of this drug enhancement if you're not even building any willpower either? You're just gonna go run to something for a cheat code.
he's a streamer,
Yeah,
no?
he's a streamer. I mean, his parents, from the little bit of research I did about him, his parents are like bodybuilders or like fitness advocates and all this crazy shit. They have like a gym that they go to and all the other crazy fun stuff. So he's always into like that already. But I guess he just wasn't confident in what the fuck he was looking like at a certain age. And he got a part of like a Discord forum where they talk about like what later became looks maxing. Like, and it's basically like shit talking on how they can't get women. Some people are just insecure and there's no way you can kind of help them because they're not going to believe you. Like, for example, let's say his parents gave him all the outlets to be as confident as possible without going down this path, right? There's kids that are just like, or there's just people in general that just, because they're someone that you see all the time and you interact with all the time, you're not going to take what they're saying seriously. Like, it doesn't matter as much to you compared to like a random stranger who's just like, you're fat. And you're like, I really am fucking fat. And it's like, your parents can tell you like, girl, you're not fat.
But I feel like everybody has like a glow up after high school.
Yeah,
But I feel like that's a lot of. I feel like the people who don't peak in high school or in school in general, and you see them then and now, they're the ones who look the best. Whereas like people who were so used to being called pretty and handsome in school, middle school, high school, you see them now and they're fat as hell.
Well, I feel like that also goes into the whole ego aspect of it too. When so many people are like on your dick, let's just say, for so long, you're like, oh, shit.
She like a truck.
I don't gotta do shit. So yeah, I feel like people's glow up situations are situational though, because some people just don't give a fuck, and it goes into like, oh, I looked good in high school. Like, let it be dudes that like they got a bunch of bitches in high school, and the next thing you know, they got this big ass fucking beer belly. They tatted the fuck up only on their neck and like
On their face,
and
looking
their
like a
hands and
newspaper.
shit. They always still got their shirt off. They wearing the same fucking jewelry they bought in 2010 when, you know, they thought
Well,
shit
I
was
feel like there's
poppin'.
complacency in when you're told that you're attractive that often, you're just complacent to like stay that way,
Yeah,
and you don't really have the desire to like actually go to the gym or work on yourself because people already like you the way that you are.
right. And that's another thing. So many people get caught up in the lifestyle of like, let's just call it the good looking people lifestyle. Going to clubs all the time. Like every night's supposed to be like an adventure and like an experience, right? You get caught up in so much of doing that because you look good and you attract so many things. Let's say at just a young age, all that alcohol you was drinking, all that Molly you was doing, all that fucking coke that you was doing, all that shit catches up to you, and then boom, you're 30 and you're wondering why you got these dark ass fucking recesses in your fucking face called eye sockets.
Why you don't have no real friends? Why you don't?
Why your dick's falling the fuck off and your teeth are falling out. Your family's like, stop calling me. I'm not giving you any more money. You blew it all. Get out of my face. Like when I was in high school, middle school, all these things, like I personally was invisible to females. Like all the girls that I was interested in didn't know who the fuck I was, at least in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? They knew all my friends and I was in that section of people, but like I was just gray matter, you know, like that.
You were orbiting. Well, I was attracted to girls physically, emotionally, mentally, all that. And I feel like, because even when I was like 4 or 5 or whatever, like I always had like a little girlfriend in kindergarten, middle school, elementary school. But it was always because like I wasn't thinking about sex. I wasn't thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna have sex,
You
whatever.
were attracted to their personalities.
So once high school came and you know that's usually when people start to like have sex and whatever. That's when I was like, you know what, maybe I like girls and I find them very attractive, but I don't think it could be anything romantic because you know the sex part or whatever. Which is why like I dated in middle school. The other girl from, I forget her name, the class below us, and then the Colombian chick, like 8th grade, 9th grade. After that, ain't date no girls or whatever. Just kept, and my excuse was like, oh, let me just focus on school or whatever. and whatnot. But as soon as I graduated, as soon as I got out of high school and whatnot, like I downloaded a whole bunch of dating apps, put myself gay, um, and just started dating gay guys.
I'm attracted to women, so I can't see how you could go from like seeing women as attractive, and then what about a dude
Well,
is attractive?
I
Honestly,
mean,
like
I mean, since I was young, I've always been attracted to guys as well, but like it wasn't acceptable, I guess, or whatever. So I've always liked boys and girls as a kid, like growing up until I want to say maybe high school, when you actually start to think about like, okay, well, can I actually be in a relationship that involves sex with them? So emotionally, physically, like I can say a woman is attractive. I can be like, I love her personality. I can connect with them. Yeah, I'm gonna be in a relationship with them when I was younger because we're not really thinking about sex or nothing like
right.
that, or at least I wasn't. Um, like I remember, like I got so jaded that one girl didn't like she broke up with me and didn't want to be with me, whatever. Like I was upset because I liked her a lot and all that stuff. And then I don't know. I feel like as I've gotten older and then started thinking about sex and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, well, I don't really see myself like when I'm watching porn. It started off with watching both because I also try to like. There was a period where I'm like, okay, well, let me try to if I focus on the girl, then maybe I can say that I'm bisexual, or like I can be like, okay, I can be with a woman and be attracted to a woman and have sex with a woman and whatever without having to like take Viagra, shit like that. But then when I'm like in the moment of pleasuring and all that, like I'm like, okay, well, what I actually like is the guy, not the girl. So I would try to focus on the girl, but it always went right back to the guy. And then as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, I'll wait for it. I'll wait to fix that when I'm a little bit older, or I still have like maybe 6 years to fix that or whatever, or to be fully straight again and whatnot.
Oh, so when you were younger, you actually thought that it was something that was like reversible or like
Yeah, like I can be like, okay, well, I can not necessarily reversible because I think I would always be attracted to guys, but I can train myself to also be sexually attracted to women and whatnot.
Well,
So
I'm just curious, what made you feel like you had to do that? Like,
um,
if you're just
just
naturally attracted to
expectations.
from parents or something, or just like
Society.
just yeah, I was gonna ask like because there's not really much gay representation in any like, not to say like kids need gay representation or maybe they do, but if you just look at like cartoons we all grew up on and like everything that we grew up on in the early 90s into the 2000s and all that fun stuff, right? There's not a lot of gay representation for gay kids, or at least kids that are curious as to
And
my as if they
all the
are
gay
gay.
all the gay representation was kind of looked at as comedic. Like for example, Powerpuff Girls, he's trans, he's gay, or whatever, but he's a villain. So that was like what you grew up on. But I don't know. I just feel like I didn't want to disappoint anybody because I hold myself to like a high standard within myself. I don't necessarily have those standards with other people, but to myself, like I like to be perfect, or I like things to be at a certain quality. So I'm like, okay, well, if I tell people that I'm gay, it's gonna disappoint them, or there's gonna be people who are disappointed. And in high school, middle school, I've always gotten asked mainly by a lot of like guys, "Oh, are you gay? Are you gay? It's okay if you're gay." And I'm like, I don't even want to get into that. Once I got to high school and started like to actually find myself and whatnot. I'm like, okay, well, by 12th grade, I was like, okay, well, I already know that I'm gay. I already know that I like guys. There's nothing I can change. It is what it is. Like in a couple months, I'm gonna graduate. Never gonna see any of these people again, so I don't really give a fuck what they think about me, and then I can just live my life. Because in my head, once you go to college, that's when like you actually start your life. That's when you actually can be who you want to be. And that was my thought. I was like, okay, well, once I start college, I can. It's a fresh new bunch of people. It's people who are open minded, who aren't assholes or judgy or whatever, and I can just be myself.
If you would have been born in this current generation where it is acceptable and everything like that, and like majority of the kids in school are either going to have a gay friend or at least like an openly gay family member, where before it was probably just a family member, it was an adult that already came out as gay. You're not going to really find out like your younger cousin's gay right away, you know. Do you feel like it would have been easier for you as a gay individual to like just live your life as a gay individual instead of like this society expectation of like I have to hide this or fix it, which I don't think is like something you should pursue
Yeah.
as anybody.
I think it would have been easier now because I just feel like everybody's like, because there's so much representation now everywhere, social media, on different types of media or whatever. I feel like it's just easier to accept and to digest, especially like just the current generation, growing up with see in media where like, there's a gay person and they're not like they're not their role isn't necessarily a comedic role or a negative role or a villain role. Like you're seeing, lesbians, you're seeing gay guys, you're seeing trans, you're seeing all this stuff. A lot of them being main characters or main side characters that are important in the storyline, or even reading books that have like a lot of representation of gay characters. I feel like had I had that growing up, I wouldn't have cared to come and not even come out because I don't believe in the idea of coming out anymore. Like I just feel like just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like how many times does a straight person have to tell their family, "Oh, I'm straight. I have a girlfriend now," or if you're a girl, "I'm straight. I have a boyfriend." Like that doesn't happen. So why should I have to, as a gay person or queer person, have to sit people down, have this awkward conversation
Right, like an
that
intervention
nobody
almost, like, yeah.
that nobody wants to have, and
Mm-hmm.
then just make it known that it's a part of you. Like I don't want to be defined by my sexuality. I want people to know me as who I am as a person, not who I like or who I decide to lay with or whatever.
Right. Do you feel like if it was more acceptable when you were in high school and everything, or even just like all throughout your life, do you feel like because it wasn't acceptable, it stopped you from doing things that you wanted to do throughout high school? Like, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I wanted to fuck.
I mean, aside from those things, so like, for
I
example, like,
wanted.
did you ever want to join a sports team and you were like, I can't do this because.
The crazy part is like I was, even though like I was so tiny and like little and everybody knew me as like the smart guy or whatever, I was always good at like a lot of other different things, sports too. Maybe not basketball. Like that's my one downfall. But like I loved gym class. I loved like the different sports that we had. I enjoyed when we used to have like gym class where like we would have to go and actually work out and do certain machines to work on whatever. I enjoyed all of that. Like I was a very athletic person. I feel like even though like I wasn't known to be athletic, I feel like I was, and that didn't really stop me from, playing games or playing football or just doing anything like physical education wise.
I'm pretty sure there's versions of you or a version of you that your family sees. For example, like we'll just use your mom as an example. Your mom birthed you, obviously, so she's always going to see this little baby,
Mm-hmm.
this little boy that gave birth to and everything like that. And no matter how old you get, she's always going to view you in that way.
I
So
mean,
there's a
she
version.
still sees me as a
Exactly.
baby. Like whenever I'm hurting or whenever I get hurt, like she's the first one there to be like, it's okay. She'll talk to me like she's my mom, and she'll talk to me like I'm a kid or a baby. But I feel like I said, the truest form of who I am, the people who know it are my closest friends and
Mm-hmm.
not my family. And I don't think it'll ever change, to be honest. Like I just got to a point where like I can tell my mom like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see a guy that I'm dating or I'm dating this guy or whatever. Um, like back then when I was actually out and dating and whatnot, like I really didn't talk to her. Like once I came out to her and it was a very awkward and the experience was like not what I was expecting. Like I just did not open up to her about anything about my dating life, and I
Oh,
just
so
kept it separate.
you were still living almost like a subliminal double life up
Yeah,
until a certain, or
yeah.
still kind of.
Like literally, anytime I went to go see the person I was with in a relationship with, I would always be like, "Mom, I'm going to go sleep over at my friend's house." It was always my friend, my friend, my friend. Never
Mm,
like my boyfriend or this guy that I'm dating. It wasn't until like I broke up with the guy that I was with for whatever for like 10 years. That like I talked to her and whatnot, and she found out like about my dating life and whatnot. It wasn't until then that like we've now we have like this openness where I can talk to her and be like, oh yeah, I'm dating this guy. Like he's okay, he's chill, or like I stopped dating this guy because he's, and she'd be like, okay, that's cool, that's cool. What does he do? What did he do? Like like I feel like now she has an interest, and I feel like from what she's told me, she's because there's media out there of like parents who have kids who are LGBT or whatever. Like I feel like because that's become more of a thing in shows and just media in general, I feel like she's seen that and has opened her mind to like having a child that is gay or whatever. So I feel like she's a lot more comfortable with me being gay and me coming to her for like certain things about just romance wise and whatnot. Still not sex stuff because
mm-hmm.
that's just never gonna happen. Is even thinking about it now, I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What if they were to, like, not just your mom, but let's say your brother, your mom, or even your dad, one of them were to find out like the true you that they don't know, would that be embarrassing for you, or is it just like,
Um,
well, yeah, that's who I am. Like you guys already know I'm gay, so
I don't think it would be embarrassing. It's just like the initial like actual talk or how it would come about would be so uncomfortable that I just don't want to deal with it. But like there's been conversations that I've had with friends or with family that have been uncomfortable at first that I didn't want to have, but after having it, like it's out of the way, and like now this part of me, and I like now I can show you that part of me.
but all right, that's another thing that I've always been curious about. Like when with people that do have like a coming out situation, like what happens in the mind of like the person that didn't expect them to already know this whole time. Like, yeah, we knew. We're just waiting for you to say it or anything like that. Like, is that a sense of relief, or is it like almost like a sense of regret? Like, why didn't I just do this sooner? Why did I beat myself up for this so long, or whatever it is? You know,
Like for me,
in your own
like
personal
in
experience,
my
yeah.
so I always thought that like telling my mom would be very easy and she would be very open because she grew up with a gay best friend and they would go to a lot of like gay bars in Puerto Rico and where there was a lot of trans and there was a lot of drag queens or whatever. And he's the type of like he's flamboyantly gay. So like I'm like, okay, well she'll accept me if I'm gay, like, and it's not like she hasn't caught me playing with dolls as a kid or whatever. So when I told her like I personally feel like it was her surrounding, like the people that she was with at the time, where her reaction wasn't what I expected. Um, but I thought that she was gonna be a lot more accepting than she was, and she wasn't. So like to me, like that was kind of that made me like just crawl back into like just
Yeah, if
I
she
don't
thinks
know.
this way, what would
Mm.
other people think? You know, I had this expectation with her, the one I
Yeah, yeah,
trust.
yeah.
You know,
So I
whatever.
I literally like just crawled back to myself and whatever and decided to keep my dating life and like my private life private, including to like private to like my family. And the only thing they would know is like, okay, I go to school, I go to uni, anything that I tell them like I'm working or whatever, that's all they'll know. Like I won't tell them nothing about my dating life or whatever. Like I'm not gonna inconvenience them.
Yeah, but
Like I'm not.
doesn't that make like just family life a little bit harder with like for
Oh,
example,
it was.
you go to Thanksgiving, you know, and everybody's like, so Fernando, when you gonna bring a girl, or when you gonna
See,
have some kids, or
that's why I feel like it's a unspoken thing that everybody knows that I'm gay because like I've never had that conversation with like my aunts or nothing like that. My grandma doesn't ask me, oh, so when are you gonna have kids? Like my brother has a kid, my cousin has a kid, all my cousins have kids now. I feel like I think I'm the only one in my mom's side of the family does not have a kid yet,
hmm,
and I'm like 30 or whatever. But like nobody asks me, like nobody's like, so when are you gonna be in a relationship or whatever? I feel like just most of my family already knows that I'm gay, so
hmm.
it's like not even a thing to bring up like if I'm gonna have kids or not. Um, and also like when I had Facebook, I was following a lot of my friends, my gay friends or whatever, and some of them would repost pictures of me and them at Pride,
Hmm.
and my family would see it.
Right,
So
right.
it's like I feel like they know that I am, but I never had to come out to them.
But it goes back
And
into that don't ask, don't tell
yeah,
situation. They're
and
they're okay with it as long as you don't bring it up, or they don't have to talk about it
I
with
I
you.
feel like my aunt and my cousins, my female cousins, like they're all okay with it. Like if I was to bring a guy, like they would be like very welcoming or whatever. I don't know about my guy cousins and whatnot, but
I'm pretty sure they would. I mean, I don't know how your family
yeah, yeah.
dynamic is, but you know,
I feel like most of us are open and like we're okay with whatever each of us does or doesn't do.
hmm.
Um, it's more so like, for example, when I came out, it was at a time where like my mom was dating somebody who had polarizing thoughts on a lot of things. He was misogynistic, he's homophobic, everything, all of that. And I feel like she's just at that point she was never into religion or nothing like that, and she had just gone into religion, was reading the Bible. So when I came out to her, the first thing she said, in the Bible, it's not okay for a guy to be with a guy. So like I just felt like the version that I was, the person who I was telling that I'm gay, the
Was
version
being
of
put
my
against
mom,
you.
yeah, the version of my mom that I was telling I was gay, I feel like wasn't the version of her that I should have told.
Hmm.
Like I feel like I wish I would have told her either later on or before like she even started, getting into religion and whatnot.
Right.
And for a long time, like I didn't like religion because of that, because of my experience, and then just like my thoughts on the type of people who go to church and who say their religion and stuff like that. So like that just made me even more anti-religion.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, like I didn't like if somebody talked to me about religion, I'm like, no, thank you. I'll just like come back into my own little like
Right.
curl back into my own little ball and just like let them finish, and then I would just try to change the subject.
Earlier you were saying like you were happy that you weren't exposed to like let's just call it the gay scene
Mm.
early on in your life because of the things that you would have been exposed to, right? If you if parents, or not necessarily just parents, but if someone is having a kid and obviously there's an opportunity for your child to be gay, straight, whatever it is, shouldn't the parent know like, okay, this is what the gay scene is like, you know, these are the dangers of it, to properly, maybe they're not the person that should be educating their child if they're not a gay person, but like maybe a gay family member or something like that. But I feel like a lot of people don't, that aren't gay or like have a gay friend or like go to these like scenes to see this type of shit for themselves or hear about it from someone like you, don't know like the dangers that come along with being gay.
I guess I feel like yes, I'm glad I wasn't exposed to all of this a younger age. But like if you're gonna be educating, like if you have a kid who comes out as queer or whatever, then I feel like as a parent you have a duty to kind of like dig a little bit deeper and be like, okay, well, what's going on in this community? Like what would be their experience, their possible experiences? Because you know being gay and being straight are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously they both face similar stuff in terms of like there's always going to be predators, there's always going to be risk of a lot of different things, and they have that and they have those similarities. But I feel like the gay scene, and I feel like a lot of people straight or whatever can at least attest to like either hearing somebody say this or knowing about it, but it's very sexualized. It's very sex heavy. It's very
I
like
feel like even if
sex
they don't
forward.
hear it, a heterosexual guy is just gonna assume it is, just because again, it's just men at the end of the
Yeah.
day, regardless of sexuality. We know how men are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
men can be very promiscuous, and just let a bunch of dudes that are attracted to a bunch of dudes get around each other. You're gonna assume it's
Yeah.
gonna be nothing but fucking. Okay, so
And usually it is, and then that's just where a lot of people don't. They get so caught up in the moment that they don't use protection, or some people just don't like using protection, and then there's never everyone is open to having sex with whoever or whatever, but they're never open to telling who they're having sex with, who else they're having sex with, and that's been a big issue. And that's always like to me, that's always the issue. Like if I'm dating you and you're dating other people, or you're being sexual with other people, I would like to know that not because I'm nosy, but because like I want to protect myself.
but why is the open sexuality aspect, like relationship wise, like having an open relationship, so normalized in the gay community?
Because I just feel like it's
Not to say that you have to have like a
yeah, yeah.
traditional relationship where like y'all together and like, you know, you
Well,
guys don't experiment outside of your relationship and you guys eventually get married and all that fun stuff. Like that's not necessarily everyone's path, but like
yeah.
it is very normal for people to be in a relationship and be like,
I feel like it's kind of like you have your piece of cake, but then you also have like it's like having the whole cake. Like you have this person who you love, who you're very romantic with, and whatever. Because like when you're in a relationship, I don't. It doesn't matter if it's straight, if it's queer, if it's trans, if it's lesbian or whatever. You can't deny that you're gonna be attracted to somebody else, or you're gonna, look at somebody else. Like there's gonna be temptation everywhere. So I feel like with guys, or at least gay guys, we know this. Of course, there's gay guys who are very jealous and want a monogamous relationship, and that's great or whatever. But there's all other gays who understand that like, you know, I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me, we're together, but we're also gonna be attracted to other people. And in an open relationship, there's a lot of rules and a lot of boundaries that go into it. But I feel like the what I would say is the what makes it so interesting and what makes it like so desirable in the gay community is because we're all guys and because we all understand how we work, and that we're just very sexual, and we like having sex and whatever. I feel like having your person who you love and who you can see yourself with or whatever, and still have the opportunity to like be with somebody who you just are lusting over. I feel like that's kind of like what is attractive about having an open relationship and why so many queer couples are open.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a hard thing for me to like conceptualize, obviously, because any heterosexual guy will tell you in a heterosexual relationship that would be ideal. Let me get with a girl and
Mm-hmm.
she's just knowingly acceptable of me being attracted to just a lot of other things aside from her, but she's just that one person and
Mm-hmm.
that I'm always going to have and that I'm going to share my life with, but there's going to be experiences that I might want to partake in that I would possibly want her to partake in as well, but that's 99% of the time
Yeah.
never the case, because most women want, you know, that one person that's just theirs and not anyone else's or anything like that. And it's okay for her to be attracted to things and not speak about it, but don't let him be attracted to any fucking thing. Don't, don't look at anything, don't double tap anything, like, no.
Well, I have a bisexual best friend that is in a gay relationship, but you know, like from our conversations, he finds women, like he's more attracted to women. It's more like a 60-40 where he leans more women or whatever, but he just happens to be in a relationship with a guy, and they decided to open it up so that he can also still being with, you know, the guy that he loves and whatever and is attracted to and, you know, wants to be romantic with or whatever, but also whenever he misses, you know, pussy, vagina, whatever, he can, you know, look for it or whatever. So like he's in that situation and it works for him and he loves it, and they've been together for like 5 years and it's going great, whatever. They have their rules and stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like, you know, it's just a guy thing to wanna mess with whoever you want at the expense of not losing somebody you love.
Right, right. What do you feel like? Because, all right, this is a very common situation, at least from my experience hearing about or seeing things in other people's families and shit. Um, the gay kid that comes out and then the father or other male figures or if the father figure like shuns them away, like maybe not necessarily because of, you know, my son's gay, fuck him or anything like that, but like I feel like there's some fathers that shun their kids, their gay sons, unintentionally because they don't know if they can ever connect, not because they're gay or anything, but like for example, there's things that you were into that other little boys probably weren't into, like you said you like playing with dolls and stuff like that, right? I like feeding my sister's dolls to my sister's dog. Okay, I wasn't playing with them Johns though. I'm pretty sure that there's like dads that are just like, damn, like do I teach him how to change a tire, like you know, like, or just do I let him be up his mom's ass the whole time?
Yeah,
they subliminally disown their child, you know.
So I feel like there's always a misconception of if you're gay, you're gonna be feminine, and I don't think that's always the case. No, that's usually never the case. Like I feel like every person, straight, gay, man, woman, has both masculine and feminine qualities. Obviously, like there's a lot of guys who aren't um, too comfortable in their femininity. And I'm not saying like if you're feminine and you're a straight man that you're, you know, less of a man or whatever. Like it can be little things that
Yeah,
you know.
what's femininity for a male? Straight
Um,
male, actually.
I don't know. Let's say like if you're interested in skincare, is known to be more of a female thing or something that is more
Yeah,
feminine or whatever.
if a straight guy's doing his skincare routine and he's telling his homies like, yo, bro, you gotta get on this like Neutrogena shit, they be like, bro, you gay as shit. Like,
Exactly. I feel like it's a misconception, but I feel like to go back to like my experience, like yeah, I played with dolls, with Brad sometimes, with Barbies. I would steal, you know, my cousin's Barbies and be like, you know what, I'm gonna hide these under my bed, and when nobody's looking, I'm gonna play with them. But I also had like every single Power Ranger, mostly the boys. I had every single Power Ranger, play with them, action figures. I loved wrestling. I loved whooping my brother's ass in wrestling, both in game and also in person. I used to love doing like the little John Cena, you can't see me, and then boom, you know. Um, like I feel like I'm a good mix of both masculine and feminine. Like when I was younger, loved football, loved being a wide receiver, catching it, running, you know, dipping and dodging. Love kickball, love a lot of like active sports and stuff like that, as well as a lot of video games. I used to love playing, you know, wrestling. I used to like playing Call of Duty. I used to like playing all those more masculine games and whatnot.
But you definitely also like have a very big side for your feminine side as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Because like for example, like the little figurines and stuff that you collect as well. Some of the games that you'll play, I'm pretty sure or
Yeah, I
some
mean,
games that I could find a female playing on
Animal
too.
Crossing. Let's
Well, I
let's
don't
be
think
honest.
Animal Crossing
It's
there's dudes
more,
that play Animal Crossing.
of course,
I
but I
mean,
feel like because the aesthetic of Animal Crossing, or like the main goal of Animal Crossing is being aesthetically and building
I
and
just wanted to make as much turnips as possible
exactly.
and make as much money as possible. And then when I broke it, I was like, all right, I'm done playing this.
But I don't know. There's a lot of games that like you would consider more like feminine games, like I don't know, Sims, for
Mm.
example. Like
But I fucking love Sims. Yeah, sure,
yeah,
you
yeah,
create
yeah.
your own character, but then after that, you're like, you're doing it. I love Sim when I was a kid though, like playing adult
Mm,
shit, doing an adult life. Like that was entertaining to me. But it wasn't like I didn't even care about the female
yeah.
characters. Like, sure, I make them woohoo whatever once in a while, but that was about it. Like, I didn't
Woohoo.
give a fuck about like the whole when Sims
The
introduced like that
relationships,
whole
yeah.
family aspect thing. I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
And even today, like I can't even play Sims just because it's like now it's just too difficult. You gotta do too many things. There's too many
Yeah,
aspects.
yeah.
Now it's kind of gay. But
Yeah,
back in the
yeah,
day, Sims 1, 2 was
yeah.
it was pretty
Exactly, because
heterosexual.
I feel like most games do appeal to both sexes, but like there are certain games that are the way that they're marketed, I feel like would lean more towards a feminine, more toward to attract female gamers and stuff like that.
I feel like female gamers were, because there's always been female gamers, there's always
Mhm.
been gay gamers and stuff like that. You guys were already attracted to the games that are already out. Like, not
Yeah.
to say that you shouldn't make gay games, but like the whole push towards we gotta make it more gay, more
Yeah,
this. And
yeah.
it's like,
I feel, but I also feel like that's capitalism.
100%.
That's just them trying to like widen their horizons of like who's gonna play whatever.
One
But
of the
they're
toughest games is Tomb Raider. Like Laura Croft. Now, granted, most men are gonna sexualize her, but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure girls are like, we have somebody. Like,
No, that has. But I don't know. I feel like just going back to like how straight dads should approach their gay kids. It's not necessarily a feminine or masculine thing. Like I feel like it's more because there are women who are tomboys and who are still straight, who still like men, and there are. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of straight men who would say that they play with dolls and are still straight. Maybe they secretly do.
I mean,
You
men
know.
do play with dolls when they're kids. It's called action figures. They
Exactly.
just don't have hair.
True.
Like that's the only thing that's missing is the hair.
But
It's painted on.
but because it's marketed that way, that it's
Yeah.
an action figure, then it's more acceptable for a boy to play with them. But I feel like like I at first, for example, when I first came out, I told when anybody told me like, oh well, do you want to date a feminine guy? I would be like, well, why would I want to date somebody who's feminine if what I like is a man, and I want a man for a man, not a man who acts like a woman, My thoughts of that has changed because it's just like everything's so nuanced. Everything is not just like white or black. There's like so much that goes into like somebody's femininity and masculinity, and like you can be both or you can be more one than the other. So I feel like if I was if I was a straight dad and I had a lesbian kid or a gay kid, like that wouldn't change how I approach them per se. Like every kid and everybody has their own identity. Just because I was gay doesn't mean that I didn't want to play with my Power Rangers or I didn't want to play Call of Duty.
100%. I also feel like there's a, a stigma with like the less feminine gays, or let's just call it the hyper masculine gays, tend to be DL most of their life because they don't fit into the agenda of like maybe they just don't want to hang around like a hyper feminine man all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe they only find that sexually attractive and they can't like hang around it because they're sexually attracted to it. They can't be around it in a social scene around there or whatever it is. So they'll be like more DL, undercover gay cop or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And no one really knows until you like walk into a leather bar and you see like
You see them.
and you're like, what are you doing here?
You know what's crazy? Sometimes the DL guys who act or who are the most masculines are the receivers, are the ones receiving the dick or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like there should be a shift in how gay is perceived because like again, I feel like I'm more of a masculine type of gay person. I feel like yes, I do have a lot of feminine qualities and sometimes my voice gets very high pitched, but when I am being presented to the world or like when I am walking or when a stranger doesn't know me whatever, or even when my friends, like a lot of my friends that know me, I feel like I come off as a gay person who is a man and is more masculine than feminine and whatever, and that's great. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with being a gay man who is feminine and is more feminine than masculine. I feel like there should be a shift in just like what is socially acceptable as masculine and feminine.
Well, the feminine gay is the only one that's ever really represented it. Even in like past culture, like you watch any movie where there's a gay guy, he's always like
Very feminine.
extremely feminine. Like they hyper feminize it, you know. And granted, the person playing the gay person in a movie or show is typically never gay anyway. So you know it's hyper exaggerated. So you get this as a heterosexual person, you get this idea that once you're gay, you're just slowly gonna verge into that, and it's like, no, like
No,
just
no.
because I'm sexually attracted to men doesn't mean I'm not like a dude at the end of the fucking day, you know.
And that's the same thing with like being bisexual. I feel like a lot of, and this is a very common thought in the gay community where you start off bisexual, but you're really, that's just a cover for you to be gay. So just be gay. There's a lot of gay guys who think like that. There's a lot of toxic ways of how gay guys think. There's a lot of gays, a lot of masculine gays will stigmatize and will ostracize feminine gays just for being feminine. There's always this conversation of, well, I don't really like hanging out with a lot of feminine like gays who are feminine because like being feminine and being too femme is too much for me. At the end of the day, like I feel like be who you want to be and be comfortable in who you want to be, but I feel like there's always layers to everybody's personality. Like even the most hyper feminine gay will have some type of masculine trait. At the end of the day, they're a man, and that's how they think, and you know, like it's just part of who they are. And I just feel like um, there shouldn't be, just because you're gay, there shouldn't be the stigma that like you have to be feminine or that you're just gonna be a feminine man. Um, like if you're gay, you can either be feminine, you can either be masculine, you can be both, you can be androgynous. If you wanna learn how to, you know, take out a tire on a car and replace it, then you should do that. If I was a parent and my son or daughter showed interest in those type of things, then I would be like, okay, well, let me teach you. Or I feel like you can connect in somewhere or somehow. Like there's always gonna be something that connects you guys, or like something that you guys both find appealing in common or whatever, you know.
The whole idea of like, because granted, I grew up with gay grandparents, so like the whole idea of gay was always normal to me. Like that's what gay is. My parents, well, my mom specifically explained it to me at a very young age. So like it was very hard for me to like digest and understand. Even the whole idea of trans, like I understand what that is, you know. As a kid, I never really understood how like anyone's sexual orientation, whatever it is, like what someone's into is what's going to determine if you like who you're going to view them as for the rest of their life, right? Let's say you had heterosexual sons as a heterosexual male, everything like that, and you find out that your son's into fucking like feet or something, some outrageously fucking, or even like a pedophile, you know, that a pedophile is obviously going to be way worse than any fucking else thing that they can fucking be, you know, and that's the last thing you want.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean,
I would hope that in most people's head, pedophile was like up here.
I'd rather my kid be a serial killer before a fucking pedophile. I'm not gonna lie. Like I could love you behind glass door as a serial killer. Like you shouldn't have did all those things. But like a pedophile, no, I'm cool. But like again, let's say a parent finds out that their kid is into some outrageously thing, but they're still straight. Like that, now you're gonna view them the same way, or now for the rest of your life you're just gonna view them differently. It's the same thing with gay. Like okay, they're into the same sex that they're into. Okay, that doesn't change anything that you've.
Of course
has
not.
nothing to do with you what you did. Okay, had nothing to do with. One of my homies said that he thinks all his cousins are gay, because his family members are doing crack cocaine and shit like that. I'm like, you really think that? And granted, we were high shit, which is bullshit.
Yeah,
but I was like, bro, there's no fucking way you believe that. Like, people are just born that way. I personally think that that we all like relive lives and shit like that, like like Buddhists and shit. And like maybe in your past couple lives you maybe were a woman, you know, and now you just landed in a male's body again, and you're very comfortable in a male's body. You know how to work it and everything like that. It doesn't feel weird to you. But there's a lot of aspects or traits that you've carried over from past lives that are just like, I also resonate with that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm very comfortable with that as well. Or at least like now you're comfortable with it. But before, you probably, as a child, like, or even just growing, just like, even probably question yourself, like, why am I, like, why am I not like everybody else, or at least what everything else is perceived to be, or why am I different? Like, and that probably was like really fucking hard. Like, I can understand the people that like play straight going into like just how society's structured. Like, you gotta go to school, get a job, marry, have kids, and all that. There's not no like, you don't have to do that. Like, and if you don't do that, you're a fucking bum, or you're and it's like, well, what if I don't want to get married, and what if I don't want to have kids? What if I just want to be career driven? It's like, when are you gonna bring home grandkids and all that other bullshit, like all these dumb societal fucking things,
But you know what's crazy? Like growing up, I never questioned like why I'm not like everybody else in terms of like my sexuality. If anything, like that was never really a thing that I grew up with. For me, I just I just have this thing where like I understand societal norms. I understand all that stuff and whatever, and I understand that like a lot of people will judge me and criticize me for being gay, whatever. But I myself never criticized myself or thought that I was wrong or hated myself or questioned or myself like why am I like this. If I wanted to like try to be into girls or whatever, it wasn't necessarily because like I hated myself. It was more like I just don't want to be a disappointment. Like that was always my thing. Like as a person who I am now,
you
like
weren't doing it for you, you're doing it for other people.
and like I don't know, I just didn't want people to be disappointed in me or whatever. Like I never thought that anything was wrong with myself, but I do understand, or I always had like this understanding like what is acceptable, what is not. Even at a young age, like I knew that there were gonna be people who judged me for either being a super short guy or being a gay guy, or I was always gonna be seen as a certain way from other people, and I was okay with that. Like that was fine or whatever. But it just stems my whole like wanting to like try to teach myself to be okay with liking girls in the same way that I like guys was more so for me to like not disappoint anybody that I personally loved. Because like again, school and all that, you can talk about me, you can start rumors about me, and if it doesn't if it doesn't come back to me, cool, great. But now if it does come back to me, then I know that like people are talking about me, and I'm just gonna like get mad at like what people are saying. Because not that I care what people say or like how I'm perceived or whatever, but it's just like I just don't want to know how people perceive me. I don't care how they perceive me, but like I don't want to know how they perceive me. Because again, like I like being I just like being cordial. I like being, chill. Like a lot of the times I like to be in the background. I don't like people noticing me too much or whatever. And I guess like that's also why a part of me is like not a very flamboyant gay man. But like like I just never thought that I or criticized myself as like okay, well, why am I gay? Like what's wrong with me? Like I never had that thought or nothing like that. I know a lot of gay guys who probably do, but like
Especially older generational.
I personally never thought that I was a problem. Like I was exposed to my mom's gay best friend at a young age. Like he would pick me up sometimes when I would go visit Puerto Rico and go to my grandma's house. He would be the one to pick me up at the airport if my dad couldn't, and my mom trusted him with me, and he would take me to the beach, and he never like did anything wrong or nothing like that. Like I was already, like I was exposed at a young age to like gays and stuff like that. At least like a gay person. Like I at least knew who a gay person was. Um, and I never thought there was nothing wrong with him. Like it was just like whatever. A human is a human.
I'm pretty sure that's another aspect of like a parent that maybe isn't expecting their kid to come out as gay, right? They never had that idea, and then it's a shock to them, right? And then them not knowing who to send their child to for like proper advice on like, well, if you're gonna live this lifestyle and be exposed to these different things, like who I've never been to a gay club or anything like that. Maybe they don't have gay friends or anything, a lot of ignorant people will view older gay men as predatory, just off the rip. Like, oh, he's gay. Why would I just give my child over to this gay guy who's probably going to try to take advantage of him, And obviously there's going to be stigma there, but I'm pretty sure that that's not the case 9 times out of 10.
A lot of the times, the person who you least expect to be the predator is the one who's a predator. I think, like in anybody else's mind, if they saw my mom giving me to like this hyper feminine guy to like be taken care of, they would probably like question like, why are you letting this super gay guy like watch your son? Like if it was a daughter, it'd probably be different because they're not attracted to women,
Right.
or at least like you would think that as a flamboyant gay man, they wouldn't be attracted to a little girl or whatever. But I feel like there would be stigma in that or whatever. But like my mom never cared. At the end of the day, she knew that her best friend was gay.
Mm-hmm.
She loved him either way, and that's another thing. Like I thought that because she had that relationship with her gay best friend, that like she would be okay with me being gay, which wasn't the case. Um, and like I feel like I understand her point of view. Like it's okay as like you having a friend. It's very different from you having a child that is also gay. Like it's just two different things and whatnot.
But I don't understand. Like, if one of my sons came out and said that they were gay, again, because I was raised with it, it's just like, okay, like, what you do with your life has nothing to do with me. You know,
Yeah.
you're still exactly who the fuck you are to me, you know? And I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh my God, my perspective of you has changed, or now I gotta treat you different or anything like that. Like, I never understood that personally. So, like, that's why I'm very
Yeah.
curious. Like, in your specific scenario, your mom didn't accept it the way that you
Hmm.
thought she was going to, you know?
Even though she said that she knew from a young age that I was gay, but like she still didn't like she wasn't receptive to it, which is a crazy thing to me because I'm like, if you knew and you have like a gay best friend who you're very close to, who you be calling and you be laughing out loud, like some of the loudest laughs that I've heard my mom laugh have been on the phone with him or in
Mm,
person with him. So I'm in my head when I did come up to her and she said what she said, I'm like, this is not like I refuse to believe that this would be your initial reaction. And I say that because like again, I feel like the the version of herself that she was there was not the version that I wanted to come out to or that I thought that I would be coming out to. Like I thought if if she hadn't met, I feel like her reaction would have been very different because she got so engulfed in and being with him and they were together all the time and he put a lot of his views onto her and including religion and stuff like that.
mm.
I feel like that because she was just starting with religion and just starting that relationship with, I feel like that influenced her reaction to it.
Mm.
Whereas had he never been in the picture or it would have been a couple years before, it would have been a whole different like coming out experience. Like I feel like she would have been okay with it and stuff like that. But then this is also me just being hopeful that like that really isn't her
Right,
to
right.
her core. And I feel like it's not because recently we've had a conversation and I told her how I felt when I first came out and she apologized or whatever and that like that wasn't who she is anymore and that like she's seeing a lot of stuff and she's open and stuff like that. She understands
That the
that
world
it's
is different
okay.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different and it's okay to be whoever you want to be, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're what you call it, Jewish, Christian, Catholic, whatever. Like
Mm.
a lot of times I feel like you don't have a choice to be in the body that you're in. You don't choose to be a woman. You don't choose to be a certain color, a certain race. You don't choose like if everybody had the choice to be who they want to be or like how they would look and whatever, they would want to look how society says this is how you should look like.
Yeah, they'd be like that clavicular guy.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that there's people that, not necessarily that they're disappointed, but because of the social stigma, the traditional, old school traditional stigma behind like gay and everything like that, they don't, they know that everything that comes with what they've seen society do with gay people, that they're just like, now they're fearful for their child and they're like, damn,
Hmm.
like, what's my child going to go through? And they don't know how to react to that. I would assume that it's from that type of place, you
Yeah.
know, maybe, and not from a place of like, you know, let's say that the person's religious like your mom. I would hope your mom wasn't like, damn, now my son's going to go to hell because the Bible says like
Yeah.
you go to hell based off of your character, not your fucking
Hmm.
sexuality. You know, God made you who you are at the end of the fucking day if God exists. You know,
Yeah.
that's another reason why I didn't understand like gays not being in religion.
Mm.
I can understand the stigma of like people that are not gay that are in religion throwing that at you all the time, but like
Yeah.
that shouldn't drive you away from
Yeah.
if you want to pursue religion or
You know
anything
what's
like that.
crazy though? Like I've met a lot of gay guys who are very religious and
Mm-hmm.
very into like being involved in their church and stuff like that. And like I don't necessarily ask like, oh well, how is it being gay and being in the church? Because I feel like there's also a stigma of like thinking that all religious people or all the people who go to church have this idea of like they all hate gay guys or like gay people in general, and that's not the case. Like I've met very hypocritical religious people. Of course, there's a bunch of them out there, but I've also met a lot of religious people who are either gay or who are accepting, who don't care how you are, who you are, whatever. They'll accept you in the church and they'll accept you as a person. I feel like, like it's. I feel like there's always gonna be stigmas on who hates gays, who are homophobes, and um, what gay people are and stuff like that. Like I just feel like if maybe there was more media, more clarity of like, you know, what it is to be a gay person, um, and same like what it is to be a religious person and what it is to be this and what it is to be that. That like maybe that would eliminate some stigmas and a lot of the times like the hate that people project onto others or whatever is just them projecting parts of themselves. Whether it's somebody who's closeted lashing out at somebody who's gay because they hate who they are, and at the end of the day, like when you go to sleep, only you know who you are, and when everything's quiet and you're by yourself, like that's when you know like who you are, and if you hate yourself, hate yourself. It sucks, and hopefully that's not the case, but like it shouldn't turn into you lashing out on people who remind you of a part of yourself that you hate.
Yeah.
It sucks that that's how a lot of people are, and it shouldn't be like that. But like I don't understand why it's so much hate in the world. To be honest.
I mean, this goes outside of the gay community, but from the different gay friends I've had all throughout my life and what they've told me, like I feel like a lot of the toxic shit that is in the gay community, like aside from the predatory shit, the older men going after the younger guys, right? But just like how some more experienced gay people will treat the less experienced gay people, or even like the self hatred. A lot of it comes from that. I feel like because you'll have someone that hates themselves for being different from society, or at least from what society fucking portrays what should be, And then when they're finding out who they are, there's so much hatred in themselves for them hating themselves that they might, yeah, I'm gay now, and go live a lifestyle of a gay man, but then they're projecting that hatred onto the people that they claim to love. And now that person's introduction to the gay scene is this negative fucking thing, and then now they're portraying it. And then obviously not everyone's introduction to the gay scene is like that, but I feel like that's where it stems from, to be honest. Like someone hating themselves, maybe not getting over that aspect of hating themselves, and then projecting that onto the next person. And that person's like, well, I just have to fucking, it's just this wishy-washy feeling of like...
It's just a never-ending cycle.
Would you ever adopt a child or have a child of your own based?
I wouldn't. So I've always said that I'm open to having kids. I feel like if I don't have any kids, I'm okay because my brothers all have kids, and specifically the one that I'm always with, like I already treat her like she's my own child. So I feel like if I don't have any kids, I have her, type of thing. But like, of course, I would want my own kids. If I could have my own kids, like birth kids, yes, I would love.
Again, your sexual orientation doesn't change the fact that you're a guy at the end of the day. So I'm pretty sure there's an urge to be like, not necessarily I want to reproduce so bluntly, but like, I'm pretty sure you see someone being a dad and you're like, damn, that looks, I genuinely want that,
I mean, so for me, like I'm okay with adopting, and if I'm in a relationship and we decide to have,
but why should adopting have to be your option? Like,
yeah, it shouldn't, but like I'm okay with adopting the same way, like.
Not to say you shouldn't adopt.
Yeah.
But why for a gay guy does it have to be adopting? Like, why is it?
I feel like that's probably the easiest and most affordable in terms of like.
There's women popping babies out for no fucking reason.
No,
okay?
I know. But like, let's say you're a gay couple and you don't have no female friends who are willing to like reproduce for you or whatever, or be carrying your child. And a lot of times, if that is the case, it makes it a lot more complicated because maybe you start off with that woman saying, or your friend saying, "Yeah, I'll carry your baby, and like when I birth it, like it's yours." Like I'm not gonna be involved.
All right, so that aspect probably might be a lot harder, but like a more realistic scenario I can give you is like, let's say women also go through the same part in their life where they might yearn to have a child, and maybe they're not in the right place in a relationship to do that. And not to say you need to be in a relationship to have a child.
Yeah.
Parenting is you just need two appropriate people that know how to do this properly and can approach it properly to do it. So let's say you're in a relationship, you and another man, and you guys have a female friend that just really wants to have a kid, and y'all decide, okay, we're gonna have a kid, and maybe it's genetically yours and hers, but in y'all relationship, when it's split custody, just like it would be if you guys were in a relationship and you broke up, daughter son goes with you, and it's with his
But
or hers.
a lot of the times, I feel like when you're in a relationship, whether it's a hetero relationship where like the woman can't carry her own child because whatever issues, so they get somebody else like a friend who volunteers, or even a sister or a family or whatever, or if it's a gay relationship where it's two guys that just want a kid for themselves. I feel like a lot of the times the last option would be having somebody who be the person to carry the child, because they can say, like, yeah, I'm not gonna get attached, once I birth the child, like, they're all yours, I'm not gonna be involved, they're never gonna know that I'm the mom. But like, you never know what's gonna happen.
And it happens a lot.
It's an attachment. Like, you're creating something in your body, it's growing in your body, you're gonna get attached to it a lot of the times. It's very hard to detach from that. So I feel like a lot of the times, straight couples or even gay couples who decide to use a surrogate mother will go with a surrogate mother that they don't know through an agency or whatever, because it's legal and there's a lot of things that protect you as the rightful like parent, I guess, or guardians or whatever. But for me, like, there's gonna, like, the options are surrogate mother, there's adopting and stuff like that. I feel like for me, a connection with a child like that you say that is your child doesn't have to be blood. Like, they don't have to be from your own DNA. Like, if we could only have one kid, and me and my partner had to choose between whose sperm to use, I would be okay with them using their sperm and still treating the child like they're my own. That's how I see it. And like, of course I would want a kid who has my DNA and stuff like that. But if it's not like that, like, I'm also okay with having a kid who has none of my DNA. I'm still gonna love them. I'm still gonna give them love or whatever. It doesn't matter if they look like me or don't, or if they're adopted, or if they're genetically mine. It's always gonna the love that I give is always gonna be the same to a child like that I feel like I'm the parent to, because that's how I feel about my niece. Like, I feel like she's my niece, but like, I give her so much love, like she is my own child, and that's never gonna change. Even if I have my own, like, I feel like I would still treat her like she is my child or whatever.
All right, and this is me just being a stupid straight guy, but like, gay guys have so many female friends, like, and again, there's so many female friends that probably ain't with the right dude to have to raise a child properly with, right? And then there's their gay friends that got their life together, got a good job, like, have a good head on their shoulders and shit like that. Maybe you don't, again, have to have sex with them or anything like that, but like, I really want to have a kid. Y'all really want to have a kid.
Well, I've had a lot of my female friends offer to be like, okay, well, if you want a kid and you can't find nobody, like, I'll carry your kid. I'm like, sure, fine, I don't care.
Right.
And me being open and stuff like that, like, if I was to have a child with one of my female friends, I would not, like, I would want them to be in their life. Like, I'm the type of person that I don't like secrets, and I don't like hiding anything from a child. Like, I feel like
that part feels dirty too. That's why I was asking, like, why isn't that part like, I have no problem with like you hiring someone to have your baby, and there's once she has your baby, like, there's supposed to be no attachment. Boom, you're supposed to wipe. You're getting paid for that. I don't have a problem with that, but it's very unnatural at the end of the day. Like that you can't expect that woman not to feel attached if she does when she pushed this thing out of her.
When I feel like just the kid in the long run is probably always gonna wonder, like, who is my mom and stuff like that, and that's just gonna create its own mental health stuff or whatever. But if I had the choice, and whether I was single or in a relationship and my partner was okay with it, I wouldn't mind like, having a kid with my female friend, and they were okay with it. That, like, all three of us are the parents, like, I'm okay with that.
Wanna, and this is just me, like, shooting darts at a board, but like, if you really wanted to, like, make sure you guys have the two gay partners feel DNA included, both of y'all have children with the. If she wants to have 2 kids, then the other partner is the genetic father, and then both kids are both yours and hers, and everything like that. And it all works itself out, you know.
And it'll be even easier
Yeah.
if it's twins, you know.
Boom.
Kill 2 birds with one stone.
Exactly, you know.
But no, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's very stigmatized, like you say. And I feel like I feel like most people who don't do their research on it, their thought is, okay, well, we only have really 2 or 3 options to be able to have kids as a gay couple, or even as a straight couple with the woman or the man having, you know, reproduction issues or whatnot. I feel like before you do the research, I feel like just the natural thoughts are, okay, well, there's only maybe 1 or 2 options. But again,
the first one's typically adoption.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, why does that? And again, I'm not against adoption whatsoever. Yeah. There's definitely kids need to be adopted 100%.
I think that's why.
And I don't think that it shouldn't be anybody else but gay people. But what I'm trying to say is, why is that the only option for, if you're gay? It's just like, oh, if I want to have kids, I either gotta adopt or go to a fucking lab or something. Like, you have a plethora of females around you at all times if you're gay.
I mean, like I said, I think the idea is, if you're in a relationship with another person, I feel like you just want a kid for you and that person. I don't feel like you want a third party or a second party, technically, if you are in a relationship with somebody else. Like, I've known gay couples who are very, like, not selfish, but like are very like, you know, I want just us two to be the parents. I don't want to have to share that with the surrogate mother. Or
I feel like anybody's like that, you know. That's why it's probably hard for some men to be stepfathers, or you know, some women to be stepmothers. You know, I mean, because they don't feel like, because they're genetically bound to this child, that it's not theirs, and whatever they do doesn't matter. Like, that's just mindset personally. But I don't understand that, like, the selfishness of, like, if we're gonna do this, it has to be both of ours. Like, why is that the only option? You know, and if that's really the case, go with the other option I said. Find somebody that's willing to have 2 children, and like, you know, all that fun stuff. Like, there's loopholes to it, and maybe it's not going to be easy, but neither is. If you want to have it in a lab, that costs a lot of fucking money. You want to adopt, that's a lot of money and a lot of time, you know, and a lot of investment too, because like, you got to make sure your house is up to par. You got to go through all this background check.
You have to go through a lot.
You got to, like, paperwork. Put your life on a fucking camera, basically,
and
so that way you can get a child.
Dependent on the climate of the government and just like society, like, it'll just make it harder. Like, I feel like right now, with, you know, the politics and everything that's going on, it'll probably be harder for a gay couple to actually be able to adopt a kid because of everything that's going on politically.
The child's adopted. Let's say you tell them from a very early age, like, we're your adopted parents, but we're your parents. We love you the same and everything like that. But there's no outlet for, like, well, who are my real parents, or who's my real mom, or who's my real dad, you know? And even in, like, my biological mom's raising me, but I don't know my real dad, or my biological dad's raising me and I don't know my real mom. Like, that aspect of, like, not being able to provide some type of a closure on that is what drives the resentment later, or something like that. Not the whole, like, oh, these aren't my parents. It's when if you're hiding, like, let's say you adopted this child and the mom's like a fucking crackhead or something like that. She hasn't changed in all these years, and you're like, I don't even want you. You're trying to protect the child in reality, instead of just being like, well, this is who your mom is, and this is why she's not around, you know? That's what I do with my son. Like, I don't hide anything from him. Like, if there's something, there's a reason why, I'm going to tell you. So that way it's not later down the line, it's like, oh yeah, I had to hide that from you. And yeah, that's the reason why I just kept my mouth shut the whole time. It's like, no, I'm just going to tell you, and you're going to, you know, take it in how you want to, you know?
It sucks to be in that position, especially as a kid, to, like, not have your biological parents and have to, like, be told that, well, your mom's not in the picture, your dad's not in the picture for this or that reason. But like I said, I feel like it's always just good to be honest. I feel like if you're honest from when they're young, then there's less possibilities of the resentment. And I think closure is just I don't know. My thoughts on closure is, like, you don't need closure to, like, close a chapter or to be okay with something. Like, I know a lot of people use the excuse of closure to be able to, like, you know, talk to the person or whatever, or I don't know, whatever they use it for. But I feel like if you talk to a child and let them know and are always honest and stuff like that, I feel like it's just less of a chance that like later on in the line they're gonna be telling you like I want to know who my mom is because I want closure and I want to know why they didn't love me and why they didn't like choose to be in my life and whatever. I feel like as always be honest with kids. In example of